You know what? You know what I realized lately is that not everybody can handle hard conversations. And I I can relate. I used to be one of those people. I was so anti confrontational discussions. I mean, even with my employer, I mean, even with a friend, even with my family. And, I learned that that was a true reflection of how anxious I was as a child, as a teenager, a young adult, and even to being an adult, how sometimes it's a true reflection of how sometimes you can feel paralyzed. Anxiety can feel like a paralyzing experience. And sometimes even a person who has anxiety, doesn't understand how difficult a lot of people cannot get to do their everyday routine and task, because anxiety can be crippling. And listen, quick disclaimer, I am not a professional. So this is just my personal experience, just sharing my own situations. So whatever kind of advice I give, it's strictly just you and I having a conversation, okay? But it can feel crippling. It was not until I realized that after God put me in several situations over and over again, that I became the same bias of thinking, why am I always falling for this kind of people? Or why am I always applying for this kind of job? Or why am I always the constant question of why? And it's not until I refound my faith, until I realized that there's so much purpose in knowing, and there's so much purpose in not knowing. There's a lot of perspective in the unknown, and I think that is exactly why it's okay to ride the waves. I'm gonna use Finding Nemo. Just keep swimming as a reference as to what I'm talking about. My life has shifted so much that hopefully in the future, when I share some stories, how my life is transformed. I went from being, in our terms, and listen, it's not like criminal stuff. It's just everyday not having to walk the straight line, because there are different perspectives in life, and not everybody is adaptable to change type of relative. Okay, it's like you can relate type content. But I was always rebellious. My dad was rebellious, and you are part of your parents. And the one thing that my father did not like growing up was the fact that he was a damsel in distress. And well, of course, he created another damsel in distress. And it's not until in my later years of adulting, entering my 30s, is when my dad finally opened up about his own childhood traumas. That shaped our relationship up to the moment until he died. And the reason why I'm talking about this is because as a parent, we we have a role to play, but a lot of us don't realize that our backstory is connected to the role that we play. So if you are a child that was abused growing up, or if you were a child that was neglected a lot, as a parent, you may struggle with either overly compensating, or you might end up neglecting your kid. I hate to say it like that. So if there were certain parts of you that were neglected, emotional parts of you that were neglected, then that story gets spun into the narrative, into God's narrative, and he's going to put you and I in the same thing over and over again until we get it. So it's not until a slap in the face, until I went back and revisited my past. I'm talking about just opportunities, people, places, goals, until I realized that, God damn it, as much as I say I'm a risk taker in those moments, no faith. That's why I'm always constantly doing the same thing over and over again. I had no faith. Yes, I was taking risk and doing things, but not towards the things that were going to make me happy. Taking risk in traveling the world is different. That adds to my happiness. But taking the risk, like having difficult conversations, debates, putting myself in a spot where I know I'm feeling hot and on fire and the spotlight is on me and I'm sweating, but still knowing that, hey, I create the temperature in the room. So I invest more in my self-development, character building, adding more strengths to my schedule, so being surrounded by the right type of people, knowing how to contour and become creative. And that's how I got out of my crippling anxiety. Yeah. So now that sums it up, I struggled from a crippling anxiety that's called high functioning anxiety. I feel like high functioning anxiety is crippling because you're a hostage of your mind. You function every day like everybody else, but that's the most crippling that I feel. It's not the people who can't go outside. That's not even the most crippling, because those people, it really has a lot to do with their neurological and they're physical. But when your mind is doing all this work and your body is not allowing you to get to, it's crippling. So I oftentimes just ran away from these kind of things. And now that becoming a mother, it just gave me a whole different meaning and purpose and push and motivation to life. So even on the days when I feel like I don't want to, God be like, you better get that ass up, because we all know that the more we invest in ourselves is the more we produce. So, yeah. I don't know. I just felt like being a little talkative. I was doing Indian Ladies enrollment forms, trying to complete them. Oh my God. I hate that. The enrollment process of daycare, aftercare, camp, all the kind of stuff, I don't like it. You know that it's like a heap of paperwork. I wish that everybody was more digital, but I am actually finding a lot of I'm finding a lot of joy in writing. Like, I mean, just looking at my handwriting. I was one of those people who was just digital everything, digital girly. And I just didn't believe in writing. I'd be like, oh, can you shoot me an email? Can you paperless everything? And now I'm craving for that, for that ink. I'm craving to be able to see my words on paper. I'm craving to be able to see my own perspective on writing, just seeing that, my agreement to myself, and just knowing that, hey, this is my word, this is my bond, I'm writing it down. And it's just these small little changes that just really impacted my life. And it's been over a good over a good year of listening to myself, listening to my body, listening to what I need. And last year was a lot. Yeah, last year was a lot. I allowed a person to control my entire year and my parenting journey. And it became a point where that experience was so crippling that I almost gave my power up to a person who they don't even understand their own power. So you know what I do and what I did? I just said to myself, God, you made me. God, you created me. And your word is your word is my guide. So I just got back into serving my own temple, and here we are today. I'm not sure these are carnations, but I don't know. I was just standing here, and I could smell like the aroma of the flower. It smells good. I already had a cup of coffee. I don't need to be making any more coffee, but we gonna make some. We gonna make some. I'm gonna make me a cappuccino because I haven't made one in a long time. I had a lot of coffee yesterday, but we're gonna make us a cappuccino. I told my mom, pick up that little Kill milk for me because right now they said that Kill milk on Amazon is out of stock. So I need to get some of that Kill milk. I haven't done my typical everyday cappuccino in a while. I don't think we have it. I don't think we have any milk. I just have milk for the girls, and I don't like their milk. I think they got that 1% milk, so it's not as frothy. And I'm kind of dialing back on dairy, so yeah. Anyway, catch up with you guys in a little bit.
Is this an addiction? How many Jellos do we need? Indian lady like Jello 1 month, and she buy all this Jello, and the Jello never make back. I mean, we could just use condensed milk. We're cleaning out the pantry. Every time I think of this strawberry jam, I think about Shakira.
Not even going there. Also, she does. I have a day. The video has this massive spike in views.
Don't ask me why they're in Christmas PJs. They wanted ho ho ho, and I said, okay, go ahead. Make some homemade Alfredo today, trying new recipes. You have a little cup of milk with them too.